job.
I like
All
that.
right, David, we're ready for you.
Yeah, I'm told I have a quick 30 minutes, so and I think I have like 38 slides, so I'm gonna go really quick here. I figured I'd put slides up that make me look really smart, but not give you guys time to read them so that you know that it wasn't really smart. I also stole like almost every one of these slides from our chief data officer, so they did come from someone smart. All right. All right, so I'm here to talk about the Fiona MOS, or the Marketing Operating System. This is just how Fiona is evolving. So I'll go through a little bit of history, but I thought I'd start here with the vision. So Fiona's core focus is to help digital marketers, operators, and partners achieve their goals through world-class technology. Obviously, apartment marketing is a niche. And then our 10-year target is to build the largest footprint in multifamily marketing in order to make a more collaborative, happier, and forward-thinking industry. Some of you would have heard this from us before. We're not trying to get big just for big's sake, but it's more so we can help folks be more like, so that's just more collaborative. If you joined the panel I had earlier with vendors, you would have heard us talking about how many of the big companies in the space, I think Janet was saying data gate your information and different things like that. So that's where a lot of this is coming from. And then our go-to-market strategy is working with management companies and owners who have a centralized marketing champion who gets it once and has the capacity to make changes. So the real vision statement is for all marketing to begin and end inside of Fiona. And I'll take us a little bit backwards here on things about how we came to this conclusion. So what is Martech? This is a common framework you will see across the marketing technology space. You'll have an analytics side of things, which are, things that you're familiar with, such as analytics, which we just had the session on. You have the intelligence side of things, automation, and CRM. This framework, though, doesn't exist within property management specifically. So that's just hold that thought. We'll come back to it. Also, the Martech landscape has changed a lot. If you look back in 2011, there were only 150 Martech companies. And as of May 22, you'll see there were nearly 10,000 Martech companies or solutions. So there's been a lot of growth in this space, and it's accelerated. The challenge is property management specifically doesn't really get to use many of these tools because of the data gating that Janet was bringing up in a prior session. And they just don't connect. So let's quickly do a reverse and say, where did Fiona come from? Well, when we first started, this is the oldest screenshot of Fiona I could find. And I'm sad because I wanted to find the really ugly version of Fiona that was like a month prior to this. But Fiona was just it was a predictive platform for budgeting. And so essentially it basically chose your platforms and recommended a budget. I thought I'd show this photo. I thought, Erica, thank you, Erica, that you have your camera on, because this is how old it was. Reed had a good head of hair, and I did not have enough money to get my hair cut, so I had to buzz it myself, and it was terrible. And Nicole said never again, so I since go to the barber. I also thought this was a fun screenshot. This is from our second office space. It was a shared space, but we actually couldn't afford dry erase boards back then, so I had bought these like laminated boards basically from Home Depot, and we couldn't hang them on the wall because it was a shared space. So we would just carry this giant laminated board that we used as a dry erase board. So anyways, this is the original mock-up for Fiona. For those that have this on a big screen, you'll see it says Kazowie when you ask it to do something. So personally, I'd like to bring back the Kazowie button. We'll see if that gets passed by Kyle. All right, the problem we had with Fiona though was ignore this first line, was that Fiona only predicted budgets. Clients would come to Fiona and we would preach you should be changing your budget each month or at least every quarter, but they often would use Fiona and just set it and forget it. It wasn't connected directly to the property management systems. And then Fiona became just one more platform that people had to log into. This worked well for consultants, but not for marketing directors that already have to jump into 3 or 4 different platforms. So there's a lot of friction with them adding Fiona into their workflow. Okay, let's move on to, so that's a little bit of the past and the friction we found and why, where we're going with the MOS. So I'll talk about that. So when you think about a marketing operating system, or back to that tech stack I was talking at the beginning with the 4 quadrants, this is how we've broken it out. So there's the marketing budget and strategy, there's the marketing management and activation, there's marketing data and analytics, and compliance and risk. Underneath each of these columns, those pillars, there are different features and tools that we've been working on. So we have everything in green are things that we've released, whether it be internally or externally. Everything is in yellow are things that we're working on now. And then everything in white are things that we want to get to, but we just haven't written, there's been no code written yet. I'm going to specifically talk about 3 things that fall into this column and show you guys some screenshots on the marketing data analytics side. So this is a quick mock-up of just what I mean when I put that slide earlier that all marketing should begin and end in one place. It doesn't have to be Fiona, but we just don't see anybody else doing it right now. But you should take all of your data sources. You should then push those into an agnostic data management platform. I mean, BigQuery is one option, as they were just mentioning on the analytics session. From there, you should be able to take your data and activate it or use it in different ways with best-in-class things. So we believe it shouldn't be just one platform where it's like, well, you're on property management system X and you have to only use their stuff. It should be able to use best-in-class, anything. So that would be things like reporting and predictive analytics, budget planning, optimizations. I think things like YieldStar should be connected as well because marketing impacts pricing and vice versa. You should be able to send and pull data from other platforms as well. So we had BetterBot on earlier. You should be able to like pull data from BetterBot, but also if there's anything that'd be valuable to send to BetterBot, that should happen as well. Proactive alerts for any of these data sources, and then task and vendor management also would be important there. So when we talk about one place for marketing begin and end, this is the way we're thinking about it. So near term, I want to focus on those 3 things in that data column that I talked about. What we're doing with reporting analytics, campaign optimizer. That's more of an internal tool, but how it will affect you guys, and then attribution. I just thought these are things that you guys might find interesting, even though there's a lot of probably highlights in that matrix that you'd enjoy. So first off, for reporting analytics, I'm going to skip through some of these quickly, but you should be able to bring all your data together and unify it and clean it into one place where it's all a common schema. You should then be able to grab business intelligence and have an interactive dashboard where you can drill into things and really look at your business in a 360-degree view. So it's not just like clicks in paid search or whatever on social, and then separately you have all your property management data. And then you should have a one-stop shop for all of that so that a marketer or operator doesn't have to go into like 4 or 5 different systems. This is the vision today when it comes to marketing. As many folks know, we've had a really great relationship with NinjaCat. Most folks in the space are actually using NinjaCat for their agency business or services business. So that includes like, I don't know, Rent, Entrata, WPromote, us. I know G5 had done it for a while. So almost everybody uses NinjaCat. They're really the best in class when it comes to marketing reporting. It brings in and it looks historically at campaign performance and lead performance. The issue is it doesn't bring in things like Entrata, Yardi, RealPage, like all of that data. It doesn't pull together. And it also isn't diagnostic or predictive. So we have these 2 bubbles in our development, and it's in testing right now, where it's pulling in data from all of your different systems and then visualizing it for us to dive in and do more analytics on. If that goes well, we'll be exposing that to customers sometime early next year. And then moving forward, it'd be moving into the more prescriptive side of things. So now taking all your data together across all of your providers, looking at and making recommendations on budget and campaign optimizations, and then eventually working on further on attribution. So here's how we're looking at internally for key advantages is we're thinking we can now unify all that data, we can make it interactive, and then we can pull it into one place. And so we're doing this to make ourselves more efficient as a service company, but then as we build it for ourselves, there's a lot of clients that we know that also would love all of this data in one place. So it's taking us a long time to get to this point where we are building all this infrastructure that you guys can't see. But then we'll be exposing it to you sometime next year where you guys can start to pull all your business intelligence together, visualize it, do what you want, but then also hopefully move that into other places too, or integrate more seamlessly with different providers or vendors that maybe don't have all those connections completed yet. So just a screenshot of the business intelligence. So it should be drillable. So you could pull by management company or by region or by whatever tag that you want on that property. It should be able to look at all the data. So from like your close rate from your CRM to your response rate to your pricing to your availability by units. You should have KPI based alerting so that you can say, hey, if this property's trend drops below 90, shoot me an email, what have you, or something like that. It should have row level security so that you can block different people from viewing things that they shouldn't be able to view, but or like if you're sharing with another provider, maybe you don't want them to see your whole portfolio, you just want to see part of it. And then obviously there should be, some self-serve analytics options for power users. And one-stop shop for us, this means like that whole MOS. So like embed your business intelligence, your alerting, include tasks. So if like an alert goes off that, I don't know, campaign performance has dropped below Y, you should be able to send that to a vendor and say, hey, vendor, what the heck? Go look at that. We do believe in the future we want to add our natural language generation to this so that it can tell you the so what behind all that data. So you don't have to like be your own business analyst. But so basically you should get the answers quickly. The system should alert you to that. But then if you're a power user, you can drill down and do some more of your own investigation if you want. And so on and so forth for some of this other stuff. As far as roadmap, we've been really spending this year on data management and BI development. So we did some internal dashboard releases in Q1. We really spent a lot of time on the semantic layer and the data model in Q2. We are working on some other internal dashboard releases, like making the integrations we need and pulling those into that system. And they're running it through the power user group now for testing purposes. Then as we move into Q1 and then the rest of 23, it's working on the alerting system specifically. I think that is super exciting internally, but also hopefully externally for folks. And then some cross-platform optimizations and then adding some NLG in there also. So again, so descriptor so that it does the analysis for you so that you don't have to look at all these charts and graphs, even though they look cool, but you don't want to spend an hour, researching. So that's reporting. As you guys have questions, if you can drop them in the chat and then I'll hopefully come back around, but I know I'm on a tight time limit here. So next is our campaign optimizer. So now that we're pulling all this stuff into one place, many folks that work with us know that we already, adjust our campaigns on that dynamically. So add your pricing into your search ads or like turn off 1-bedroom campaigns if you run out of 1-bedrooms and so on and so forth. But this is like a continued extension of that. So for us internally, this means that we're hoping that we can reduce our FTE count by 90% by automating things that humans we don't get the best ROI out of. So doing account builds, pacing, and things like that, that doesn't really, that a human's not, you don't get the value out of a human for that. Where you get a human value is more on like looking and running strategic tests and optimizations and things like that. Basic optimizations as well are going to be automated, creative updates and things, so on and so forth. All this means at the end of the day for the customers that you guys should see an increased conversion rate, decreased cost per lead, faster campaign launches, and then being able to know that your PMS data is getting used cross-platform on your campaigns. This, again, I told you guys I just put something up here that made me look super smart. So thank you, Lurch, for making this. But this is just showing that we're pulling all the data together from a lot of different sources. We're putting it through our own internal pipeline that cleans it and unifies the schema, as I mentioned. There's some machine learning put on that. Then we can use that for activation. So different scripts that will run to automate optimizations across the different ad channels. In addition, all the data that goes into the Eisenhower pipeline ends up going into our embedded analytics platform, which ends up generating that natural language that will come, sometime in 23, the alerts and so on and so forth. As far as the roadmap for Ad Optimizer, well, it was internally being called Ad Optimizer, but we're playing around with different names. It's real, as I mentioned, more internal facing than external for you guys. But we have our MVP complete, and that's running now. Phase 2, which is in work, is automated services for partners. We have a lot of partners that want to white label our services, but there's just a way we want to go about that differently than we would treat a client that comes directly to us. Also account builds and specifically alerts. I think this is what's going to make the biggest difference internally and externally for clients. Phase 3 is working on more business rule optimizations and performance feedback loop, and then more machine learning optimizations in 4. And then in 5, start working on the multi-touch attribution model that we've concepted but haven't gotten to. All right, so that's the automation on campaign optimizations, then attribution. So today, us and many other companies have been using call tracking and analytics that we then push into Google Ads. I think you'll see more in our reporting session coming up in a bit about how our call tracking is different than the other providers. And so it works with Google Ads more intimately than other options do. But yeah, we do lead forecasting on that, and we do assisted channel attribution. Early in 23, we're going to be working on our media mix modeling with, I don't even want to try to pronounce this, Erica, Bayesian. I don't know, that's close enough. This is the model that the DNA team wants to test for attribution and just to improve our media mix. And then start working more, like pulling in more of the ILS data and offline data to show how that should impact your media mix. Because right now we don't do a great job, anybody, frankly, of like pulling in your offline traffic and then saying, how should that adjust how much you're spending online? And then the future is to work, you know, considering data privacy concerns and security on a multi-touch attribution model that, you know, that it'll never be fully solved because of all these privacy things that are going on, but we have an idea about how to get way closer and way more specific. Okay, so today we track conversions from phone calls and websites, and we integrate with the different providers that you may be using that may fire off different conversions. So for example, even I mentioned BetterBot earlier, I don't have that graphic up on here, but just about anything that's on your website, we can integrate with, and we can use that and pull that into our goals and events for optimization purposes. In the future, we're going to take all those events that were mentioned in GA4 and then different data from the PMS systems, and then clean it, unify it, do the identity graph, move it into our data lake, and then run both analytics for you guys, but also the ad optimization and placement. So some of this may feel repetitive, but that's kind of the point is we want to pull all the data into one place, unify it, and then be able to activate that data to run different things, whether it be optimizations, analytics, analysis, things like that. So what we've worked on so far is we rolled out our own homegrown call tracking this year to all clients. We built a lead forecasting model, which we haven't shown. I think you might see some of that in the reporting session. Then in Q4 through Q2, we're going to work on this assisted channel conversion with CRM matchbacks and media mix modeling, and then eventually you know, work on the identity graph and multi-touch attribution. So where does this leave us? I know I threw a lot at you guys really quickly. I think I'm actually going to have time to answer questions. So as a reminder, our vision is in the future that all work should begin and end in one platform for marketing. That platform should be agnostic of what vendors or data providers are using. You should be able to plug anything into that you want and build off of that. We spent a lot of time in 22 working on this data and analytics side of things. There's still feature enhancements to be made, but we're really close to rolling that out. And then you should see, hopefully, if all things go well in 23, you'll see more happening on this marketing management and activation front. So ways like, again, like the very simple thing to consider is you jump into your BI platform. So in this case, Fiona, you're able to set an alert saying, if this metric does X, then push something to me. And then from there, you should be able to forward that or send it or tag a vendor in it. Say, hey, vendor, looks like calls are down. What the heck? Like, go fix that. So that is the vision. I know I spent most of my time on the data analytics front. All right, so now let me get to any Q&A. Oh, there weren't questions. These are just prior. Thank you, Erica, for my throwback shout out. And Janet, I appreciate it. I was a youngster. My beard made me look a little bit older than I was, but I'm shaving it closer. I can't believe I got through that in time. Anybody have any feedback on that vision that I'm talking about? Do you agree or disagree with it, or do you think I'm being a little altruistic? Tell us more about the lead forecaster. Sure. So Fiona does predictive analytics now to tell you how much to spend. What we weren't exposing previously, but this is what the lead forecaster does, is pull down your guest cards from your property management system, analyze what channel those are coming from, forecast against your rent roll, and say, here's how many leads you are going to need in November, for example, to close the gap on occupancy. And to get that many leads in November, you now need to spend X. So this is all data mostly that Fiona was using in the background to make her recommendation. But for those power users, that's how this was concepted for. So some folks want to see how many leads am I going to get from that spend? How many leads do I need at that time of year to get X done? What channels should I be spending on? That's what that does. Yeah, it gets heads in beds, Erica. Thank you. So when I first talked about this MOS concept with Robert from BetterBot, I talked with Robert from Highly, I talked with Scott from Perk, all these folks, they all were like, this is great. Yes, everything does need to come into one place. But they were like, good luck making it happen. And I understand. So that's why I was wondering if anybody had any feedback that they thought I was being a little bit overreaching with the vision. But our thought process here is we have to pull all this data in for ourselves anyways. So we might as well then hopefully open it up for other providers. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll get our hands slapped, as we go through that process, but I think we have a shot.